Hello and welcome to another episode of DCU Daily. We are back today, and I have returned. Thank you for welcoming me back onto the show. It's my show. I don't have to welcome myself back. But today we are talking about Kite Man. Hell yeah! It's a new episode is out, and we're going to be reviewing episode 5, I believe it is, of the show. And there's other news. I mean, obviously, if you clicked on the thumbnail, then you know that we're not just talking about Kite Man. We're talking about quite possibly confirmation that Kumail Nanjiani is indeed going to be joining the DCU in the form of Booster Gold. So we'll dive into exactly why we think that might be the case. But to do that and so much more, let's get the show started. And of course, as always, John, how are you doing today?
I'm great now that I'm not hosting one of these things because goddamn the pressure. Anyway, um, but yeah, Kite Man, I'm yes. It's a quote Gordon Ramsay, especially after the nonsense that was Batman Cape Crusader. Finally, some good fucking food. We can finally talk about good animated shows in regards to DC. Unfortunately, I don't have my partner in crime to talk about it. Bridget unfortunately couldn't join us today, but I will happily talk about Kite Man, and she'll hopefully join us next week to talk about Kite Man because you have no idea what the fuck I'm talking about. But even then, I'm still excited to talk about it. So what I liked about this, maybe you'll like it. I think you would like this episode because they do reference specifically Dark Knight Rises. I know you don't love it as much as the Dark Knight, but I know you're a big Nolan fan. So the whole basis of this episode was essentially Kite Man and Golden Glider and Bane last episode went back in time. Yep. And they stopped her mother from dying and from getting killed by Golden Glider's powers as a kid. But then she kind of just went off and like did whatever. And it was revealed that, oh, she was, someplace else. And we thought it was going to be like a season-long mystery, but no, it just gets revealed. Yeah, she's in the pit. Now, if you don't remember from The Dark Knight Rises, that's where Bane quote unquote, Bane made the climb, even though it was really Talia al Ghul. That was the big twist. But Child of the Rich Al Ghul fucking made the climb. But yes, it was, Bruce made the climb, get out of the pit. And then Talia al Ghul also made the climb, and then Bane. But they did like intersperse that.
Can I just sidebar? Like, it always bothered me that, like, in that when the twist happens, she's like a little girl and Bane is clearly an adult. So I'm just like, and then I don't know. I'm like, I wouldn't be able to say that they looked that far apart in age, like in the present day of that movie. Like, am I the only
I
one
don't
who thought
know. I
that
think
was odd?
Nolan was just kind of done with this fucking series. He's like, no, I just want to get this shit over with. Just I don't care. Like, I mean, look at fucking Talia al Ghul's death scene. Clearly, he didn't give a shit. So,
It was.
it's fine. My father's work. But we're not here to talk about Dark Knight Rises, but they do reference that because obviously this Bane is one giant parody of Tom Hardy's Bane because it's a very, easy thing to parody. So they do go to the pit, and
Hey, look, that's Glenn Powell's back right there in the pinstripe suit.
Hell yeah. Hell yeah. But yeah, they do reference the pit. I think it was in Harley Quinn too, if I remember correctly, but I try to put that show deep in the recesses of my mind. But they do reference that because that's where Golden Glider's mom is being held. So they go, but it's been bought out by like villainous Amazon, which I guess you could just call Amazon at this point. But it's like Villigans, which is like a restaurant food chain, but also like Amazon, but also like a conglomerate of like all these companies. So the pit was bought out so it could be like a warehouse for Amazon. So they go in, try to like rescue her mom, and then there's also the B story with Malice's character, where her boyfriend, who is also like kind of supernatural, is like visiting, but she doesn't want to, be seen because she's like, spoiled rich brat character. She's like, I don't want to be seen as like, this fucking low level server. So she's like lying to keep up with like this whole thing. Like, oh, it's all pretend. It's like a Westworld thing. It's like they're not real people. They're actors. I'm not actually a server in this disgusting. But so it's all that. So you have Kite Man, Golden Glider, and Bane going to the pit, and then you have Malice like having some sort of character development. You know that thing, Batman Cape Crusader showrunners, that thing that should be in every like thing where it's character driven. Yeah, I know you forgot to put that in, but that's in this show. I know, it's crazy, right? But yeah, you had a good amount of references to Dark Knight Rises. It was a lot of fun. Bane was being ridiculous as always, and then like for instance, one of my favorite moments, they're going there by plane, which is owned by Villigans. And he's like, I found this feral child drinking toilet water in the bathroom. But he's like holding this kid like by his shirt. So they're like, the flight assistant is like, can you put the child down? He's like, no, somebody needs to take care of their child. It was very amusing.
By the way, you're doing a pretty good voice parody of the parody of. Anyway, sorry, go ahead.
No, but I just love Bane in the show. He's so ridiculous. He's so funny, and I love the guy who voices him. I'm forgetting his name, unfortunately. It's like Jason or John something. I forget the actor, but he does a really good job. Like, has that perfect parody of Tom Hardy's Bane, and yeah. So that's a whole thing. And then you have like Golden Glider, like kind of developing with her mom, and you have Malice developing as a character, and then despite their fights, Golden Glider and Kite Man are still, together in this ironclad, wholesome relationship. And it's like revealed at the end. Golden Glider's mom wakes up because she was like knocked out from like gas because they gassed her with stuff. She's like, Mom, you're finally okay. And her mom's like, oh, fuck. Now I'm stuck with my kid that I didn't even want. So that's going to be a whole thing next episode if I were to guess. So you have Golden Glider's mom coming back, and you also have Malice developing, and there was like this whole thing. Yeah, thank you. But yeah, it's just another really good fun episode. The last episode was like a little weak. When you do a time travel episode, it has to either be like it has to be really good in order to like really sell it. And they kind of didn't really, it was like, okay, there was a lot of juvenile humor, but here they get back on track. They do like a lot of Dark Knight Rises stuff. They develop characters here. It was really funny. And yeah, so overall, a really good episode. Nothing really to say, nothing really to bounce off of, but it's just another good Kite Man episode. I still please go watch it. It's on Max. It's a lot of fun. It's funny. It's cute. It's ridiculous, but also wholesome. And the animation is really good. And Matt Oberg as Kite Man is great. And Stephanie Shu, who famously played
Everything
Everywhere All at Once.
Yeah,
I forget her character's name, but she was in that. She personally, I think she's the one that should have gotten the Oscar that year, but that's just my opinion.
Hey, a lot of people agree with you. That was definitely
I mean, pretty much anyone agreed that Jamie Lee Curtis should not have won the Oscar that year, but that's beside the point. But yeah, Stephanie, she was great. Matt Oberg is great. I love. Oh my god, I'm gonna quickly look up the Bane, the guy who plays Bane, because it's gonna fucking annoy me, and I want to give credit where credit is due. James Adomian. I'm probably mispronouncing that, but he's really fun. And you know who Michael Imperioli is in this show? I didn't realize he's the guy who has the two heads. Well, early on in the show, his brother, he gets murdered, so he's just a guy, but his like dead brother is attached to him. It's just like this decaying head that gets more and more decayed. But yeah, this guy. The guy on the left, he voices the guy on the left, and then the guy on the right gets shot. So, but they're like Siamese twins. So it's very funny, very ridiculous. Like he's like in denial the whole time. He's like, "Oh, my brother's not dead. He's just sleeping. It's fine." But in this episode, his brother gets decapitated. Like his decaying head gets decapitated. He's like, "No," and he acts like he's dying for the first time. "No, my brother, he's dead." And it's ridiculous because Malice's boyfriend goes on this killing spree. He's like, "Oh, they're not real people. They're not real actors. It's fine. I can just murder them." So he just starts fucking murdering people just like left and right because he's an asshole. So he's like, so there was like this whole thing, and it's really funny. So, That's a good running joke, and yeah, it overall very good episode. Definitely an improvement from last episode, and I heavily enjoy it. And it's still rocking it. Like, I don't want the show to end. Like, I'm sad, but don't worry, we're gonna get the Penguin soon, so I'll be happy about that. But damn, Kite Man, they know what's up. They know how to make a good show.
It sounds like
yeah.
I mean, it sounds like the show keeps getting better and better. Now it's more than halfway through its run, right? Because there's 8 episodes.
Yeah.
If I'm
there's
correct.
8 episodes, yes. So there's 3 more after this.
Yeah, and I mean they dropped 2 episodes to start the show off, right? Like, so they were like it was a 2-episode debut, and now we're kind of into. So this is what, the 4th week it's been in release. So now it's been out for a month. So I'm sure a lot of people who did not catch on to it in the beginning have surely caught on, which is great. I love that. It's and if you don't get to see it on Thursday when it comes out, it's a Friday night. If you happen to be staying indoors, then it's something fun to check out. You can go on HBO Max or just Max and find all 5 episodes. They're like 20 odd minutes, right? So you can get through 3 episodes in an hour, 5 episodes in less than 2 hours, and then you still have 3 more to come. What are you looking forward to in terms of like the rest of these 3 episodes? What do you expect to happen? And maybe more so, what do you want to happen in the rest of the show? Because it seems like the show, it's obviously it's an animated show. There's sort of, it's episodic. It's not really necessarily serialized in the way that something that's live action, even Batman Cape Crusader in that way. But so in that regard, do you want to see certain stories play out, certain characters get more screen time? What are your expectations for the rest of the 3 episodes that are left in this season?
The thing I don't want to see, the one thing I don't want to see is like, oh, they break up for whatever reason. I don't think that's going to happen, because that's like the heart of the show. The reason that the show works so well is because their chemistry is just perfect.
You're talking about Kite
Man and Golden Glider. Right. Like they've stuck by each other through thick and thin, and it just showcases like something that is not really seen in a lot. I feel like in like a good, nice, wholesome way, because I feel like the only relationships we get are to like, will they, won't they, or it's like they're in like a failing marriage. It's like one of the two. It's like you don't get this nice, wholesome relationship between these people, and unfortunately that's like, so I want them to just be happy, to be lovely, and to be wonderful, and I want it to stay like that. And I hope I could imagine like, if I hope it doesn't end on a cliffhanger. That's also what I don't hope for, because I don't know if this is going to get a season 2. Like, I don't think it's been getting a lot of buzz. It hasn't been getting a lot of buzz. It's not a lot of people are talking about it. I don't know about the ratings. They never with streaming services never reveal their ratings, so, or their how many people are watching or anything like that. So we don't know about that. It's highly unlikely that they'll probably get a. I hope they do. I mean, if fucking Harley Quinn gets 5 seasons, I would hope that this gets a season 2. But if it doesn't, I can see why. But I hope it does. But I hope it doesn't left on. I hope it ends like on a. They're kind of in like a good place where it's like, okay, you could get a season 2 for like future stuff, but I hope it like ends very well, like just in case, so they don't do like a Superman and Lois season 3 where it's like the biggest possible fucking cliffhanger they possibly do. So you absolutely, it's imperative they get a season 4. And it was at a time when they weren't sure that they were going to get a season 4 because they thought about renewing Gotham Knights because it was cheaper. But luckily, people were like, "Are you so fucking dumb. Stupid? This show sucks. Give it to Superman." And then luckily, CW, one of the few good decisions they made, got Superman and Lois got a season 4. But yeah, I just don't want it to be like, oh, they break up, or oh, it ends on a massive cliffhanger. I think maybe something that could like end, but then like, oh, is that Lex Luthor? What is he doing to Noonan's? And then it's like it like cuts to black or something. That could be like kind of funny. But I don't want it to like end on a super big cliffhanger, because I'm worried that this won't get a season 2. So those are the only things. Like I would love to see like the stuff with her mom, how that plays out, and how like Bane enters, because Bane like saw her for 2 seconds and he's like, my one true love, and it's like this whole thing. So that I felt that was really funny, and Malice gets some more development and all that. So yeah, I hope they just kind of develop characters and answer some questions, but it ends on a good note. So it's like they don't get a season 2. It's not a big deal.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, the show has got a following. It's got the audience that's coming over from watching Harley Quinn, but it's also a situation where you've got the possibilities are endless. It's a show that has endearing characters. Whether you like Kite Man, whether you just want to watch it for the Bane voice, whether you just want to watch it for when Darkseid shows up, or Malice, all those characters. It seems like, and of course that the relationship between Kite Man and Golden Glider seems like a goals sort of So hey, by all means, check it out, because it looks like if things keep going the way they are, they will probably renew it for a second season. Like, have they already done that, or is that still like?
I don't think so.
Yeah.
Unlike Cape Crusader, which got like 2 seasons straight out of the gate, this did not. So it would have to be renewed for a season 2. I mean, the first season will consist of 10 episodes. Sorry, 10. It initially said 8 episodes, but 10 episodes.
So hey, well, in that case, there you go. You still have, if you're only halfway through, then you got 5 more episodes to go, and this is gonna run well into September. So, and that tides us over plenty until all the other stuff starts coming out. You got Penguin, you got Joker 2 for all you do. Isn't something coming out in September? What am I thinking of? Obviously, Cape Crusader's already released all of its episodes at once. But
Penguin is coming out in September.
Penguin starts in September, right? It's September 19th, was it?
September 19th.
It pretty much lines up exactly with when Kite Man finishes airing is when Penguin starts airing, if I'm doing my math correctly. It's probably, it's literally, I think, 1 week, and then the week, Kite Man ends, and then the next week Penguin starts, which is great. That's a great decision on the part. I mean, they're doing that whole Disney Plus thing where they're staggering it out, but doing it in a way where people can finish watching one thing and then jump onto the other one. And that's great. I mean, I'm looking forward to it. And yeah, John, you do have a great Bane voice, so do keep that up.
Yes.
Now, speaking of voices and such, there is this image that you came across, and DC Film News shared on their socials, that we wanted to dive into. It's of course been rumored for a while that Kumail Nanjiani might be playing DCU's Booster Gold. We now have this picture of what looks like Kumail Nanjiani, his wife, and then next to him Peter Safran and his wife, and then you said Mike Flanagan at the front, and then it looks like maybe his spouse,
Kate Siegel. Yes.
Kate Siegel. They're all at this game or some event of some kind. Maybe it's the Olympics, wherever they are. I can't tell really, but of course, it's we're DCU Daily. We're here talking about DC news, and it's the internet. So that must mean that he is signed on to play Booster Gold in the new DCU, right? Like, what are your thoughts on this?
I think it's one of the few times I know, because I've said before, like, I don't get like race swapping and gender swapping like characters. I just don't get it. Like, it's just something I will like probably just never understand. But if the actor is just that good for the role, then it's like, okay, that's fine, cool, great. Because that's how it was for Jeffrey Wright with James Gordon, because he's just that fucking excellent in the role that it's like, okay, cool, I don't care. Like, clearly Matt Reeves didn't pick him for anything other than like, this guy's an absolutely fucking phenomenal actor, so let's just use him. As he also proved with American Fiction from last year, which was also supremely excellent. So yeah, Kumail Nanjiani, I like him as a comedian. I think he's really funny. And I think he needs some redemption after Eternals completely fucked him over. To be fair, Eternals fucked over a lot of things. It was supposed to be like the artsy MCU movie. We have an Oscar nominated, and then while it was out, winning director. Oh my god, amazing! And then it just completely and utterly dropped the fucking ball in every capacity.
I mean, that movie was.
My buddy fell asleep in the theater while watching it. He's like, "This is so boring."
Yeah, it was boring, and it just felt like I think like they will never admit this publicly, but I feel like Chloe Zhao wanted to make something that felt very intimate and like to her taste of in filmmaking and her approach, which she was coming off a Best Director, right? Like
Yeah, she won.
winning.
Well, the thing
She
is,
won an Oscar.
while after the first Eternals trailer, like Eternals was like doing their marketing, the Oscars happened, and she won for Nomadland. She won Best Director,
Yeah,
and Nomadland would win Best Picture. So, like, I bet Kevin Feige was so fucking happy because now they could put in all the advertising. Oscar-winning director Chloe Zhao is
yeah.
now
No,
in
they did.
charge of this movie, so you know. And
I
then
mean,
it just
that's
completely
they
dropped the ball
absolutely
because
did that. But like
nobody
to
remembers
me,
Eternals.
yeah, it's to me it just felt like that was a movie where she wanted to make it like her movie, but the Marvel machine sort of wanted it to be something else, and they just sort of ended up compromising to the point where we got something that just was terrible because it was neither a great indie looking like intimate character based story, but it was also like not this big large scale action epic that Marvel probably wanted it to be. It just kind of ended up being in the middle, and ultimately, even as it was not a very memorable film and had some deeply flawed, logic to its plot and had some very forgettable character performances. Kumail Nanjiani's character still stuck out, and I still but it was very odd that he just says, "Oh yeah, sorry, I'm not into it," and walks away from the rest of the team before the final fight, and we don't see him till the post credit, like the end of the movie. I'm like, that
Did he?
also
I
the
thought he
logic behind
died.
it.
I thought his
He
character
doesn't
died.
die. No, he just says, "Peace, I'm out. I'm not gonna be a part of this fight at the end," and so he just doesn't show up in the fight at the end. Like he literally says, "I'm not gonna be part of this." Like, and he just walks away. It's the most like, okay, great. Like it's almost felt like did they not have enough days to get him in there for the action sequences? It's like, why would you introduce this character, have him be there for this development, and then be like he's not going to be part of the anyway. I digress. It was there's a lot of weird choices in that movie, like but we're not talking about Eternals. We're talking about Booster Gold potentially. What do you think about this photo specifically? I know that it could mean a million different things, but
Yes.
this kind of photo evidence, an actor producer doesn't just randomly hang out unless they're like actual friends. It feels like it's something casual, but
So it looks
it's more likely
everybody and
they
their
were talking.
spouses are working.
Yeah, it's
so.
Talk to me about what you think this actually means. Like, and maybe is this confirmation?
I
Is
will
this
say this.
something in the works? Like,
I
what
will
is
say
going on?
this. When it comes to this means a little bit more to me than some random journalist from a clickbait site being like, "Trust me, bro. Jolomar Duenya talked to me, bro. I swear, bro. He talked to me and he said Kumail Nanjiani was part of the show. I swear, bro. It's totally real, bro. Trust me, bro." Like this actually kind of means something. Like, because it's like, as you said, like, what are just Kumail Nanjiani and Peter Safran just buddies? Like, all right, that's a little ridiculous. But I like the interesting thing is like the thing I hope for, because I'm a massive Mike Flanagan fan. The thing I hope for is that Mike Flanagan is doing something for DC related. That would be exceptional. But I know he's busy with I think it's Life of Chuck. It's an upcoming movie based on a Stephen King book. I know he's doing that. He's doing Dark Tower for Amazon, which should be excellent after the god awful movie.
Wait, but hold on. Is that a live action Dark Tower?
Oh yeah,
the movie
they're both live action. It's all live action.
Okay.
So so he's working on that. He's currently writing it. It's taking a while because the writer's strike stopped a bunch of stuff, and then so he's working on that. I think it should be. I think it's going to come out sometime next year, but I would really hope that means something. That's the thing I care about. Like, but I think it's just Mike Flanagan was just at the event with his wife Kate Siegel, and then Kumail Nanjiani and his wife, and then it looks like Peter Safran and his wife, the blonde next to Safran.
Yeah.
Yeah. So it looks like them and their wives are all hanging out at some. I don't think that this isn't the Olympics, is it? I don't think this is the Olympics.
It could be. I don't know. I mean, that's one of the.
I don't
That's
know.
probably the
Like,
biggest
I don't know if you
sporting
like
event
have
going
to
on right
dress
now.
a certain way for the Olympics, but
No, I mean, dude, you go as you are. I mean, it's like not a
yeah,
formal
it's not like the
thing, but
Kentucky Derby where you have to have fancy
right.
pastel suits
Yeah,
to show how much of a fancy silly Billy you are.
that is an
Um,
experience. That can
but
definitely
yeah,
attest to that. Yeah.
so I think this means a little bit more than, you know, just like, trust me, bro. I talked to him, bro. This actually kind of means something. Is it like totally definite that Kumail Nanjiani is gonna be Booster Gold? No, not at all. It's just like, okay, that's an interesting development. Probably it for me, it went from like 0 to like maybe like 15%, maybe like 10%, 10 to 15%. Like, okay, it's a thing that exists. I don't believe anything yet, but it's a thing that exists.
So,
All
I
right,
mean,
shut the
here we got Chris. Okay, Chris mentioned, I asked him in the chat, and he was like, because I was like, why? And he said so many people hate it already, and it's not confirmed. So, you tell me, John, what are your thoughts on the idea? Because Kumail Nanjiani is a fantastic actor. He already
like, he
had.
was. I heard The Big Sick was really good,
It
and
was
that was
really good.
more like
It wasn't. It was
dramedy.
Oscar nominated, and the guy's got the acting chops, and he, I think, would be not the
And the
first
thing
pick
is,
that
he's
most
a
people would
funny
have in their
comedian.
mind,
Like,
but
I think he's
he's got
genuinely
good
funny.
timing. Yeah.
So I think he would be really good. Like, normally I would say, okay, race swapping, why? What's the point? But I just
But I
think,
mean,
like, he would be, but the thing is, he
his
would be
race
so
isn't
good in the
central
role that I
to
wouldn't
his
care.
character, right?
That's the thing. I
Yeah.
wouldn't care because I just think he would be that funny. I know Eternals, like, he was, you know, this character that, like, nobody really gave a shit about. Like, I blame more the movie than him. But like, I would genuinely like to see him. Like, I think there are other better characters, but like, on a better actor, sorry, to play the role. But I think Kumail Nanjiani could do a really good job. Like, I feel like,
But
because
yeah,
the thing I would like to see, because he seems, Kumail Nanjiani is for the most part a rather wholesome comedian. He can get dirty, but like, he's like a wholesome. But like, Booster Gold is like kind of like, here's the thing that a lot of people don't realize about Booster Gold. Booster Gold isn't like a douchebag, and he's not like a total idiot. I mean, he's kind of an idiot, but he's not a total idiot. But like, he does have like some cocky he's a little cocky. I will say that. He's not a douchebag or anything like that. That, because that's how like the modern like era is like portraying him as. Like, he's just a total asshole and he's like a total douchebag. And he's like the douchiest of the like, he's like Guy Gardner levels of douchedom, but he's really not that.
yeah,
So, but I would still like to see Kumail Nanjiani really nail like someone who's a little bit more cocky and a little bit more
right.
like not in his wheelhouse. So I would like to see that. And the things I think he still has that, you know, he has that superhero bod that he got for Eternals that he ended up
I
not
don't know if
using.
he's kept all of those packs, but like,
But
you
you
know,
know
I'm
what?
sure he's.
It's going to be a little bit easier, you know,
It's gonna be
than
easier the second time around. Yeah. I mean, I get
the
that.
steroids are going to be way easier to get. I mean, what? Anyway, but I think I would like to see him in the
Okay.
role. I think he could sell it. I think he could do it. He's, in terms of acting, he can do it. In terms of comedy chops, he could do it. And I think he would be genuinely really good and funny in the role. Like, I think he could do a good job with it. So I would like to see it. I like him in the role. I think he's funny, and you know what? If it is, I know this is like totally out of the water, totally like no way, just like a meeting with them doesn't mean anything, but let's just say this totally means that he's cast. If it's revealed tomorrow, oh, Kumail Nanjiani Kumail Nanjiani is okay, that's not true. Again, The Big Sick, like that was literally about his girlfriend like getting cancer, right? Like, there was a lot of like shit like that character had to go through. Anyway, but yeah, I think yeah, he could do it. And I think Kumail Nanjiani could sell it. I think he could do a good job here. And I think he's funny. And the thing is that you didn't realize what I was saying is that he has the acting chops. He has shown he has the acting chops to be given a little bit more emotional depth, a little bit more to the character, because there is the troubled aspect in terms of like the New 52 version, which made him more sympathetic, where it was like, oh, he you know, he bet on his own games, not because he's an asshole, but because his mom had cancer and he needed to pay for her medical treatments, which like is a choice, a choice I don't really like. I prefer the older backstory where he just bet on his own games because he was a dick. So, but then then you had him like learning to become a true hero, and like not because like he wants to get famous and get money and all that shit and all sponsors. I think it would be, because then the leap is better, you know, the character development, there's more of an arc. If he starts out as like a total dickwad with his original backstory, like, because he was a football player from the future where he would like, his dad was an asshole who, you know, left the family, and like he, you know, and then his mom, I think, might have been like a drug addict or something. I don't remember. But like he was like a football star, but he bet on his own games, and then he got caught, and then he was like he got expelled from college and all this other shit. And he got a job working at like I don't know if it was the Flash Museum. I think it was like a superhero museum. And he stole a bunch of like superhero gear, and then he used a time machine, Rip Hunter's time machine, his time sphere, to go back in time to get rich and famous, to, you know, so that he can like go back to to his present, the future, and like, you know, become like the super duper amazing hero that he was. But then over time he learns to like, no, I want to actually be a true hero. He's still like cocky, but he like becomes like a true hero. So there's more of that arc there. If you start him off, he's like, oh, he's just troubled kid, but he has like a heart of gold. It's like, all right, that's boring, because that's like a bunch of other heroes already have that backstory. So I would prefer if they go with the original one, where he was like a total dick from the beginning, and then he learns not to become a dick. That's just overall way more interesting. And with that, I think Kumail Nanjiani could sell it. That's the major thing here. I think he could sell it.
Yeah, I mean, and honestly,
it doesn't need to be Daniel Day-Lewis. It's Booster Gold, for God's sake. Like,
exactly.
Calm down.
And by the way, like this, I found this fan made poster online. I think it's on this side. And it to me, this poster is everything, right? Like, it's obviously they did a pretty decent job of photoshopping Kumail Nanjiani's face into the character, but I just love how they then added all these like sponsorship logos, because that is so like what
that was from Smallville.
Do, right?
That was an edition Smallville made. And the thing is, with how like YouTubers are sponsored, this is brought to you by
these
Ray
are all
Chatelain,
YouTube sponsors.
Yeah, YouTube sponsors. Like, this is brought to you by Community, brought to you by you know, Raid. I have a Raid wallet, actually.
I mean, hey, speaking of which, Skillshare, NordVPN, HelloFresh sponsor us, please. Squarespace, we will sell your website services. Audible,
most definitely.
Great service. You can get it's such a good value. And Honey, of course, you know, helps you save money on your shopping experience.
Community, I get those meals. It's good stuff.
Yes,
but yeah, like I just think I think he has the comedy and the acting chops for it. It's not going to be like the most hugely emotional depth character, but like he has enough talent that he can make it work. And I think he's funny. I think it would be awesome. And I would love for them to actually do the sponsors. Like he's a NASCAR driver, and then as well as because Smallville borrowed that. I think that's just perfect, because it's like, oh yeah, definitely he would do that. And
I mean, you know what'd be great? Like, because they can then tie it into maybe Superman somehow, so that maybe like LexCorp or like Lord Tech or something like sponsors him, so you get like those DC comic shoutouts. And or maybe like he does a cameo in somewhere, he just kind of shows up, he's like, oh, one of our social media influencers is here or something, you know. It's like by the way, Chris continuing to criticize him, comparing him to Aquafina, which I don't see that
no.
as
Who's the motherfucker who compared him to Aquafina? Boy, I will fucking bitch slap you into next week. Do not compare this man to fucking Aquafina. Get the fuck out of here. Don't get me started. If somebody no. That's like comparing fuck you. That's like comparing like Richard Pryor to fucking Pauly Shore. I know he's not as good as Richard Pryor, but I'm just saying, like, that is such a major discrepancy. Get that the fuck out of here. Go to the corner. Go to the corner. okay? And you stand there and you think about what you've done. Nobody deserves to be compared to Aquafina. Get that the fuck out of here. I don't want to see that shit. Go out. Get out of here.
I don't know what you have against Aquafina, but I think they're both great actors.
Sucks. Outside of the farewell, she sucks. All right.
I will say her performances come across as a bit one note, as in she's just sort of playing the same character in most situations. But I did enjoy her performance in Shang-Chi and Legend of the Ten Rings. I thought that was a pretty good. I think she did a good job, although again, I do believe as an actor she has ways to go to be more well-rounded, but nonetheless, Manolo also said that, kind of balancing out the character. Now, hey, to that point, Manolo, it's not a film. We know Booster Gold is going to be debuting in a TV series on Max. So I think that changes like how how much the character you're gonna get in any one dose, because the TV episode is probably at most gonna be 50 some odd minutes, whereas in a movie you're gonna sit there and watch him for 90 minutes, 100 minutes, like 2 hours. So I think you can pull it off better. Plus, I think for Booster Gold, especially with somebody like Kumail Nanjiani potentially playing the character, you're gonna get an opportunity to see that work in a way where the actor, whoever that may be, whether it's Kumail Nanjiani or anybody else, you're gonna have the opportunity to see him really dig into the side of the character that's not necessarily go out there doing superhero stuff. Like, you're gonna get those character moments. You're gonna be able to see the actor really dive into it from an acting standpoint, and be able to give us a chance to relate to that darker side of the character, to the struggles. And I think Kumail Nanjiani as an actor has that capability, and in the parts that we have seen him do that, such as The Big Sick, where he was nominated and won several awards for not only the screenplay but also praised for his performance in the movie. I think he has that ability, and it's just a matter of he needs the right project to bring that out of him. And obviously, the fact that we've been hearing these rumors for a while, and now we see him with Peter Safran, together at a sporting event. It's just like, what are the odds that this is actually going to happen? And plus, Mike Flanagan, we know that James Gunn and Peter Safran are big fans of bringing these iconic DC writers into the fold. So I think this is the best evidence yet that Kumail Nanjiani may be about to step into the DCU. It doesn't confirm anything necessarily. Sorry, we clickbaited you with the thumbnail, but that's the YouTube
that's
game.
how we get views. All right, guys, come on.
I'm sorry, don't you it's respect the hustle. Like, that's what I say. It's you gotta don't blame the player, blame the game. Anyway, I will stop on my analogies. The point that I'm trying to make here is, this doesn't necessarily mean anything on its own, but the fact that we have gotten rumors from insiders and stuff like that over the last few weeks, to the point where the whole internet was going wild with this a couple of weeks ago. We chose not to do that at that time because we weren't really sure how reliable any of that was. It was very much a trust me, bro, sort of a situation. But now we're getting this photo evidence where an actor and a producer hanging out doesn't always mean that they're working together on something. But given that these people have incredibly busy schedules, Peter Safran is the co-CEO of DC Studios, and while James Gunn is out there, working 14-hour days, I'm sure Peter Safran is also doing a lot. We just don't hear about it as much. And so to that end, I would say that, hey, what are the chances that they're going out to this sporting event together, or whatever event they're at? It could be that they've had some recent interactions about some kind of, it's conversations about a project, whether it's Booster Gold or something else. Most likely something DC related because of Peter Safran, what he's up to these days.
Yes.
Then yes, there's a chance. I mean, I think it ups the percentage. If before this, I was probably gonna be like, 25% chance, maybe. Like, we'll see how it turns out. Now I'm like, that goes over 50 for me. I'm a little more certain that this is leading to something where we're going to get an official announcement. And to be quite frank, they don't need to officially announce this for quite some time to come. And they will not do it officially until all the contracts are signed and all the, the I's have been dotted and the T's have been crossed. Until that happens, we won't get somebody like a James Gunn announcing it. But we may very soon, if indeed this is the direction we're going in, we may get like a Deadline, Hollywood Reporter, Variety, one of the industry trades, like, breaking news, or one, like, one of the big insiders out there, like Daniel Rickman or somebody, saying, hey, this is what we have, and then from there the news cycle will probably go downhill with, okay, this is confirmed. Until then, this is the best evidence that we have got, and I think it's worth talking about at this point because it's no longer
Also,
just
I
a
double
trust me,
checked,
bro.
and they are at
So
the Olympics. I did double check.
okay, they're at the Olympics. That's great. They're in Paris. They're in France. Beautiful city. A river that probably needs more cleaning, but nonetheless,
Yes.
it's a Olympic Games have been a fantastic experience where there's a lot of good stories. And Kumail Nanjiani is Pakistani. I'm also Pakistani, and guess what?
Yay.
The men's javelin
Representation.
throw, there was a Pakistani athlete, Ashraf Nadeem, won gold throwing an Olympic record throw. I think it was 92 point something meters, which also is the sixth longest throw of all time, and an Olympic record. So they had the victory ceremony today. He did the throws yesterday, and of course, Kumail Nanjiani is probably one of the most famous Pakistani actors out there. So maybe he's out there to support him. I wouldn't be surprised that they were at the track and field event. Like, I think it looks like one of those venues. It looked the venue where they've had track and field events at Stade de France. So yeah, I mean, hey, it's summertime. These guys are enjoying themselves, and maybe if that's the case, they just met up and there's like, hey, we work in the same town. Let's hang out. Or maybe there's something more to it. Whether it's something for us to speculate on, that this means Booster Gold is confirmed for Kumail Nanjiani or not, that's something. Let's just say we're still not 100% sure, but I think for me it's more than 50%. And John, I think for you, you said it earlier. Now it just becomes, I think you said like 40% or something. Like it's gone up.
I said 15%.
15%. But like after this picture, do you think that percentage goes up, or is it still really sitting at 15% for you?
Let's just stick with 15. I think
15?
that's
okay.
I don't want to go higher than that because I don't want to like get my hopes up and then they're like, oh no, it's not Kumail Nanjiani. They're gonna get Adam Sandler for the role, and it's just like, oh no.
No, I think Adam Sandler is too busy. Yeah, Adam Sandler is too busy raking Netflix over the coals for every project that he does. But we did have this question from Hunter earlier in the chat, and it just happens to be that we were already going to talk about it on the show. So Hunter, great job picking this out, because there was some news out there this week, or I think it was literally today. We saw this come out that Warner Brothers is looking to license off their franchises to other video game studios. So instead of having Warner Brothers games, make these Arkham games, for example, or anything like maybe Suicide Squad versus Kills Justice League, which didn't get a very good reception, but nonetheless, they're looking to license them out to outside studios rather than developing them in-house. And Hunter was asking about what are our thoughts on Warner Brothers potentially they're not going to sell their IP. They're just going to license out these video game concepts to potentially other companies that are not under the Warner Brothers umbrella. So I mean, John, what are your thoughts on this? Is this just another means for Warner Brothers to be able to make money, which they desperately need? They're
attempting to,
because they just recently had their report. Like, they did their quarterly report and they posted a loss of like $10 billion, like in the red. So I'm sure David Zaslav is doing everything he can to try to get revenue from wherever possible. So do you like the idea of Warner Brothers games potentially not being involved with every game that has DC IP involved, or do you think that it should stay in-house and the Warner Brothers games, given their track record with the Arkham series, for example, that they should continue to develop these games?
I think they should just, because it's just Warner Brothers. I feel like outside of like Superman right now and like possibly the Gunverse, it's like I just feel like that they just haven't had a win outside of like maybe Barbie. Like, they're just consistently fucking losing money and just losing just like any sort of integrity, because like David Zaslav just does not fucking know what he's doing. Like, he is like
I would disagree with you, but go ahead. Sorry.
Got to be the most like what they've lost like 10 billion in profits at this point, And like
Right, but dude, they walked into a company that had a bigger deficit.
but
It's
doing it
Discovery
make it
did not
better.
have that deficit. No, hold on. But Discovery did not have a deficit. Discovery had cash in the bank. And when they bought Warner Brothers, AT&T basically said, you're going to take a bunch of this debt with you. And so that was part of the deal that they structured where, Warner Brothers Discovery took on a lot of the debt that AT&T had under AT&T's ownership. Warner Brothers accrued. It was a lot more than $10 billion. So if anything, they have actually managed to bring that number down quite significantly, because I think the number might have been in the 30s to $40 billion when they bought it. And at this point, I think they knew that it was going to take several years to get it to profitability, this new company. But it takes like a lot of tough decisions up front, like licensing out your IP and such, before you really get to a point of profitability. But nonetheless, I mean, it's still, there are certain decisions that people question, like Batgirl being canceled and stuff like that. But we'll dive into that another, because that could be a whole conversation unto itself. But what are your thoughts about what other studios would you like to potentially see developing these games?
Good ones. I don't know which ones are good anymore, because a lot of them, I feel like a lot of them are. Rocksteady is in the shitter now. Like that's gone. That's done. Like they're done. They're they're gonna go bankrupt soon. And then Rockstar seems to be going downhill because they just care about GTA, and GTA is like shark cards and like all that bullshit. So I don't know. It's just the thing is, I'm not really a big video game guy, so I don't know like specific studios. And the only stuff I play is like weird like indie games or like simulation. Like I play fucking Sims and House Flipper and Power Wash Simulator. I don't fucking play like all these like AAA games. Or like I don't play like Red Dead Redemption or like Call of Duty, Shoot a Man, and all that shit. So I don't know which ones are good. Just like the good ones. Whoever's like Naughty Dog is shit now. Rocksteady shit now. Rockstar is probably gonna become shit soon. So it's like, you know what? Any of them that could fucking make a good game that's like a AAA company, which is like next to none of them, from what little I know of the video game industry. So just as long as you're licensing to some people that are fucking can still make a good game, which is next to none of them, then I don't know. Like it could be good for them to, get some cash in the bank, but I don't know. It just seems like that it might not even matter, because with how terrible their fucking shit's going. So
Well, yeah, I mean, and while this Manolo, you mentioned the Suicide Squad game was a horrible mess, and I agree with you there. I think that was not the best effort. Um, but James Gunn did mention that these games will be interconnected. However, he then later, to the DCU, that is, but he did clarify there will still continue to be, games and titles that will be their own thing, that will stand on their own. Kind of like, what we have seen recently with stuff. What's a good example? Like Joker Folie à Deux, of course, is its own thing. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League, very much its own thing, and there will be more examples.
I mean, we do have a
Gotham
Wonder
Knight.
Woman game coming
So
out soon. Monolith is doing that one.
right,
So
so yeah, and
yeah.
Manolo, you're right too. This is DC prioritizing, Warner Brothers prioritizing cash flow, which is completely true, because they need to. Like, they need to be profitable. They can't be continuing to bleed money. They need to get rid of their debt, get in the positive. That's just good business, or it's a good business move to license things out, because then you get a licensing fee and then another company does all the work. What I would mention is, this probably doesn't mean that everything is going to be licensed out. It just means they're open to licensing things out. Kind of like Batman Cape Crusader. It was initially going to be on Max, and then they decided, you know what, we're going to license this thing out. So then they got Amazon to pay for it essentially, and now they have 2 seasons worth of licensing fees coming from Amazon Prime Video that that Max wouldn't have been able to really, because they would have essentially on the books paid themselves, but it's not extra. It's like kind of like, if me paying my brother or sister, whoever, or my girlfriend or my parents or anybody in my family, and if you have a shared expense, or like, that money doesn't add, it's not adding new money into the pool. It's just the same money. So it's better.
Mhm.
So which would be the case if it was Warner Brothers Games making this game, and of course you're taking on the risk of all the loss that might come from it. in this case, now you have an external studio making the game, and of course, any money that comes in from licensing is just, you basically take on none of the risk, but you get most of the reward, because if the game sells millions of copies and is usually popular, it's still a Warner Brothers IP. It's still a positive for the DC brand. But if it sucks, you still get the licensing fee and you can just move on. Like you don't take, the developer takes the hit, like they don't get the next game opportunity. So I think there's more positive to this than negative.
Sorry to cut you off, but who did Hogwarts Legacy? Who made that one?
Hogwarts, like, was that in-house? I thought it was.
I don't
developed in-house.
Because I know Hogwarts Legacy was mentioned.
It was Shiver Entertainment and Avalanche Software.
Okay. So maybe get them to make some games. Hogwarts Legacy was huge. So despite all the controversy with the Harry Potter brand right now, that game was huge. Yeah. So for a while.
And that would be fantastic, because Avalanche Software is a subsidiary of Warner Brothers Games, so that was technically still in-house. Whereas, I think what you want to do here is you're probably thinking about like EA or Activision or Blizzard, stuff like that.
Not EA, not Activision, not Blizzard, none of those. Please, not any of those. But not any of those. Right? Gamers will know. Like, I don't know a lot about games, but I know Activision. No, EA. Fuck no. Blizzard, hell to the fuck no. Ubisoft, that's already in the dumpster fire. None of those guys, please. We don't need those guys fucking up their IPs like WB has already fucked up enough. So none of them.
But look, it's gonna be something where maybe they're just saying we're opening the door now. There's probably not a specific developer in mind. And then now that the door is open, if a developer comes to them with a really good idea, they're more willing to say, okay, you go and do all the hard work and just pay us a licensing fee, and then we'll see how things go. It was similar to how, again, another example would be Warner Brothers didn't even pay for half of the first Joker movie. And so it was half financed by an outside, financing company that came in, I think Braun and a couple of other things. So they only really ended up paying even I think it was 40% of the production budget, and they barely paid anything for the marketing. But then Joker became like $1 billion hit, and so now Warner Brothers is like, we're all in, $150 million,
and now it's gonna make no money.
But I mean, hey, if you go by the trailers, the movies looks pretty good, and if it makes $1 billion, Warner Brothers gets to keep a bigger chunk of the profits, But yeah, I think that here this is just a risk. This is just an opportunity to belay some of the risk on their part, while also being able to bring in easy money where they're not having to invest their own. And if things don't work out, they can just be like, well, that studio did a bad job and we're moving on. We're gonna license it to another studio. And so yeah, Hunter, to answer your question, clearly this is financially motivated, but also at the same time, it could potentially create an opportunity where you get a lot of new ideas that maybe Warner Brothers, the people in-house, are not providing. And maybe you can get some really, really good games out of it. Maybe we'll get some terrible games out of it. There's always a chance that something is good or something is bad. Suicide Squad Kills the Justice League was not good, but maybe the next one will be great because it will be made by a studio that came out of nowhere and then, ended up becoming like a big hit, and they're become associated with making great DC games like the Arkham series, for example. So with that said, John, we do have comments to get into today, and as we always do. So there's some really good comments. One of them definitely had me laughing and chuckling for a while. I did respond to the comment, but I want to see what your response to the comment is. So this is our first comment that we wanted to highlight today. John, we talked about James Gunn's birthday the other day, and I think Constantine ended up coming up in the conversation, or Constantine, and that seems to be the pronunciation. Seems to be what Manny KZ47 was a little excited about. Let's call it that's, I think, is a good way to describe it. He said Constantine is pronounced Constantine. Teen, you fuck. So John, what are you? I believe you were the one who pronounced it at Constantine. So what is your response to Manny?
Boy, here's the thing. don't argue with someone who knows more than you because they're gonna fucking bury you with knowledge, you fucking cretin. So here's the thing that a lot of people don't know. It is Constantine. It is from the original creator himself. It is in fact Constantine. Constantine is actually the American pronunciation, so you're not totally wrong. But if we're talking about a British character made by a British man, it is in fact Constantine. Alan Moore himself said so. This is the famous comic book panel that says, hey, you're Constantine, right? No, Tyne, Constantine. So no, you are in fact wrong, because even though all of the popular adaptations of the character, like the Keanu Reeves film and the Matt Ryan TV show, that as well as his appearances in the Arrowverse, they're the ones who got it wrong. Technically, the only person that has gotten it right is Lucifer, when he made a cameo in Christ on Infinite Earths. But then Matt Ryan said he was wrong because people are stupid. So yeah, it is, sir, it is in fact Constantine. You're an idiot. Next time, double check yourself before you make such a dumbass comment, because you don't know what the fuck you're talking about. So it's Constantine. The only times I reference Constantine is if I'm referencing the film and the show, because that's how they pronounce it, even though it is in fact very wrong, because the character, the demonologist made by Alan Moore that featured in Hellblazer, made in the 80s, is in fact John Constantine. And it will always be
Indeed
John
it is.
Constantine, no matter what you fucking say. So it's Constantine. So you're an idiot. You don't know what you're talking about. I know what I'm talking about, because I got the same shit from a British guy who was telling me I was an idiot when I said Constantine. So I know how it feels. But again, here's the thing. You could have been nice about it. You said Constantine. Come on, isn't it Constantine? But no, you had to call me a fuck. So now you're the fuck. You're the chodester. You're the asshole. You're the douchebag. So you know what? You can go suck on this dick and shut the fuck up and go back to wherever hole you came from. Because you could have been nice. You could have been nice, been like, isn't it Constantine? And I'm like, oh, isn't it Constantine?
Mm-hmm.
No. But no, you had to go, ugh, Constantine, you fuck. No, you're the fuck. Fuck you. I know what I'm talking about. I have comics. I've read this shit. You haven't, clearly. You only know the movies. Congratulations. But sorry, I'm not a huge comic book encyclopedic knowledge person, but I clearly still know more than you do. So happy travels. Bye. Get the fuck out of here. I assume you call Batman Batman. All right, so get out of here. Get the fuck out of here.
Well, yeah, Constantine. Constantine is the correct spelling, if you know, and as it is in the comics, as is specified by the creator of the character. So then there you go. Sorry, Manny. It looks like you got that one wrong, and John definitely gave you the L. But hey, thanks for watching. Thanks for commenting. Be sure
Make
to
sure to
leave
like,
your
comment,
response
and
to John in the
subscribe.
comments.
And
Yes,
notifications
absolutely. We
on.
appreciate it. Well, there's another. We do have more comments to get through. So here's a second comment, John. I'll let you read this one
Whoa.
since it's a
God
lengthy
damn,
one here.
that's a big one.
Uh,
That's a big one right there.
but the Watcher was very excited about the idea that we are getting the Superman movie now, less than a year away, and it seems like we have gotten to a point where we can now start to maybe piece some of the scenes together because of how much we have, was the behind the scenes footage we have seen, the images from the movie filming in Cleveland and Cincinnati. So John, what are your thoughts on what the Watcher here is saying? He's just really excited about what DC's up to, and then making a comparison with Marvel.
Yeah, I mean, I hate to be versus, but like that's how it kind of is nowadays, like us versus them. That's just how it is. I mean, they have their own thing. DC has their own thing. So I think, I mean, Feige's trying his best, like trying to create that appeal that phases 1 through 3 had. their well-oiled machine, all that shit. It's just like with the recent, even good even movies that got like positive, like I want like reception. I almost said critical acclaim. Nothing's getting critical acclaim, but even like Wakanda Forever and Guardians, they did make a lot of money. But the thing is, they didn't make much of a profit due to marketing and all that. They still made money, but not a ton of money. So, and then you had like Quantumania, the Marvels. You had like Shang-Chi. You had like all these other outside of like No Way Home. Doctor Strange was another one that was like mid. So outside of like No Way Home, which made like 2 billion, and then you have Deadpool and Wolverine, which is I think either close to or has passed 1 billion at this point.
I think it's basically there already. It's just
pretty much
been killing it. Absolutely, it got to like 800 plus million in 5 days, which is insane to think about. But I think it's now
like
firmly
on the cusp. It needs 80 million more.
924. Yeah, it's gonna get there.
More. So yeah, it's probably gonna get there.
Week, it will be $1 billion movie, and it's the fact that it's made like virtually half of that number, 440, just within the domestic market of North America. You're right, like Canada and the US. That's insane. That goes to tell you just how excited people are to go watch this
people
movie.
Love Deadpool and
how many
people love
times
Hugh
they're going to
Jackman.
see it.
So
yeah, it's great. I'd love to see it. But yeah, I mean,
and the thing, but the thing is, then they also have their future movies to like. Brave New World has just been the behind the scenes of that has just been a complete and utter mess. Thunderbolts, I don't think they've been messy or anything. Anything of the sort. From what I've read, like it's just kind of there. That'll probably make a little bit of money. And then Fantastic Four, it's one of those things like if they don't get right, that's gonna get torched. That's gonna get if they don't get it now, then they'll never ever get it again, because you're gonna have this one chance, Marvel. You're gonna get this one chance, and if it stinks, it's gonna stink up a lot of shit. So that there's a lot riding on Fantastic Four, especially when it's up against Superman. So yeah, it just Fantastic Four, like I wanted to do well because like I feel like I've said this before, they deserve that win. I don't have a ton of faith in it, but I have a little bit, and I like the cast. So Fantastic Four, it could go either way. It could really, I mean, you do have names with Pedro Pascal, who's like everywhere. Joseph Quinn, he played a fan favorite character in Stranger Things. That might get the Stranger Things crowd. Vanessa Kirby, she was in The Crown, and she's also been in the Mission Impossible movies. So she's like she's not a hugely known name, but known enough that maybe they'll get people. And maybe people want Fantastic Four to be done right. So you have all that. And then Blade. Is that even coming out still? Like, does that even have a fucking release date? Honestly, at this point, just dump the whole movie, get Wesley Snipes back, and then just make a fourth, like, old man Blade movie, and then boom, there you go. Honestly, just fucking do that. Because clearly people loved seeing him in Deadpool and Wolverine. Wesley Snipes, bro's in his 60s, but yet he's fucking killing it still. So, you know what? Even though I love Mahershala Ali, he's a very good actor, and I think he could do Blade very well. It's just like the fact that like they somehow Marvel can't wrap their heads around vampire who kills other vampires. For some reason, they just can't get that right.
It's hard to reconcile that with the MCU that we know. It's like how do you make that
so just
work?
Don't do it.
I'm just saying. I think that's maybe part of it because there's like 3 directors who have come and gone from that movie. It's like how do you like?
Well, clearly our ratings are gonna work because Deadpool and Wolverine is their biggest fucking moneymaker in the past like 5 years. So clearly something just
I think it's more to do with the story logic of how you incorporate that magic.
I know
those kind of elements. But they did it with Doctor Strange and Thor, where they're like, you guys call it magic. It's like sign, like they've always tried to like ground it in a sense of like realism. I think you can maybe explain that away somehow, right? But they could put it on another. I mean, hey, they're doing that with the Fantastic Four. Like Manolo had a great point here that both Fantastic Four, which I don't know how long we're gonna spend in that other universe that the Fantastic Four will start off in. But it is going to be in a different reality to the mainline MCU, and most of Deadpool Wolverine takes place in other realities, right? In these parallel worlds. So as long as we are still in the multiverse, then maybe that's the way they go. And maybe that is the way they need to go if they haven't already decided to make that happen, because then you get some flexibility, like kind of have him be. It's the rules are different, It's not the MCU that we know until it is, maybe in Secret Wars or whatever the case might be. I mean, DC clearly with Crisis of Infinite Earths would want to do that. So yeah, I mean, great comment from the Watcher again. I think he's on point that it's exciting to see where DC is going to be, and I think Manolo makes a great point that it's going to be very fun to go watch both Fantastic Four, which comes out only 2 weeks after Superman, and then of course watching Superman before the Fantastic Four comes out. In a matter of 3 weeks, we'll be able to watch the two movies, and there will really be these big markers for where the two franchises stand. DC rebooting with the new cinematic universe, and they're putting out Superman. They're starting with their, the big blue Boy Scout, the big main character that they're going to anchor the whole universe around. And then you have the Fantastic Four, who will probably end up being that new anchor for the MCU moving forward as well. And then for all we know, maybe Tony Stark's Dr. Doom shows up there. Maybe that's the universe Tony Stark's Doom comes from. And the retro futuristic look and feel is something that I think is going to be very interesting to see how that ties into, the story and then how it affects their, their entrance into the MCU proper, whether it's through Secret Wars or otherwise. But I'm excited to see how the two, movies come together. And one of them is just started filming recently, that being Fantastic Four. Superman is done filming in post-production. James Gunn is working very hard on post-production with that movie, and while he's also working on Peacemaker episodes. So we'll see how all of it plays out. But the Watcher is excited, and so are we for this new DCU, and I think James Gunn has done a great job so far of leading us into this new era. As somebody who was skeptical because I really wanted Henry Cavill to come back as Superman, I am starting to see a light at the end of the tunnel,
and
the darkness is finally going away.
And David Zaslav is just praying to every higher power that this fucking makes money.
I mean, I think everybody at Warner Brothers is paying to the very high power because
David Zaslav to James Gunn is like, motherfucker, you better cure cancer at this point.
You cannot. This Superman movie cannot fail, or DC will need to take a break and really.
Or WB needs to sell off all everything DC related.
It's a big bet. I'm not willing to say that that's going to cause WB to sell off anything. And
sell it to Universal. They know. I feel like
they've got the money. They're throwing their money around. Comcast has got a lot of money in the bank. But anyway, I mean, hey, look, it's so far all indications are the Superman movie is going to be fantastic. And speaking of fantastic, it looks like Fantastic Four is going to be fantastic as well. So let's move on to our next comment, this last comment of the day that we wanted to feature. This one, of course, comes to us from JB1138, who is a regular viewer of the channel, and he always leaves comments. He leaves comments as he's watching the video, which is the best way to do it, guys. If you're watching the video and you find a part in the video that you want to make a comment about, you hit that comment button, you mark the time code, and tell us exactly what you feel, and then we'll come back and address it later, much like we are with JB1138 here. He was talking about how, again, from the same episode that we did, we're talking about scenes from James Gunn's Superman movie. JB was watching and he said, this is probably an unpopular opinion, but I think Wonder Woman should have an outfit more like Xena, although more historically accurate to the Hellenistic period of ancient Greeks. Now, what he's referring to, of course, is the costume that Wonder Woman wears, Gal Gadot's Wonder Woman, as you can see on screen there in the DCEU, is a bit of an alteration from what we are used to seeing in that classic, more traditional Wonder Woman suit, kind of closer to what we saw with the Linda Carter iteration back in the 80s. But we've also seen a lot of different variations of the suit, including ones where she's not wearing a skirt or like a one piece. She's got more of like a militaristic suit on, and the warrior princess design that we saw in the Wonder Woman movies with Gal Gadot and the DCEU, the Justice League movies, we saw a suit that was that's been in use in the comics quite a bit recently, but it's not necessarily the one that everybody thinks of as a definitive suit. There's different designs that we have seen in the animated series and more recent comics and Elseworld stories. So John, what are your thoughts on the idea that JB and he addresses it himself. He's self-aware that this may be an unpopular opinion, but do you think Wonder Woman's outfit should be more like Xena's outfit from Xena the Warrior Princess, Lucy Lawless, of course, or do you think it could be more similar to what we already got from Gal Gadot, which I think a lot of people look at that and that's the only iteration of a live action suit they've seen on the big screen, and they see it as a definitive suit, and
Right.
people had a pretty positive reaction to it too. So it's not like
I like
anybody's
this.
clamoring to see something very different. But what are your thoughts on the whole concept?
I think I wouldn't want to I would want them to like stray away from more like the armor kind of suit that was shown here, because I feel like with what James Gunn is introducing in this is like it's more like the campier side of comics and a little bit of the sillier side, and this was like very Snyderverse. It was very dark, it was very like
Although there's
downtrodden.
plenty of color in the Wonder Woman
Oh
movies,
no,
it
there's
is a
plenty of color.
little
I meant dark in like subject matter, and
subject
so
matter.
you needed like armor, like that armor look to like really, mimic that. So I
But
feel
isn't
like
that
with
also because they're like this warrior nation
yeah,
of
Warrior Nation, but
women? So
like
I'm like it's
I mean, so was the Linda Carter version, and she was wearing the swimsuit. So
but it was
I
definitely a
j-
lot campier, and it was also for the time. I think that sexualizing Wonder Woman is something that they had a very even keeled approach, because Patty Jenkins, of course, fantastic director, probably one of her best projects of her career to date. She did a fantastic job. She understood the assignment, and I think that I don't necessarily want to go back to the Linda Carter shoot today. I don't think it makes sense for the time. But maybe
yeah,
there's a halfway
here's
point,
the thing. I
between
wouldn't
the two.
mind like an armory suit like this, but I feel like if we're talking about what Gunn is planning with this, I think it would work to get like a maybe like a campier Wonder Woman suit, and that would fit like the swimsuit suit, like the one piece suit, the DCAU kind of suit. As long as it's not like the New 52 where she's like wearing the pants and she has like the sleeves and she's like all like it just looks like doesn't look. I never liked that look. I never really liked any of the looks from the New 52. I think they all looked pretty bad, but um I think if we're mimicking what you know what like Gunn is going for, like you have a Superman where it's like bright sky blue and like scarlet red and very like it's there, it's bright. I think something like the Linda Carter suit would fit into the Gunverse, and it could fit well. However, if they don't want to go like too campy, that's understandable. Like, but I feel like they might go with, rather than like having armor and then having like a leather skirt, they might have like more like a cloth spandex look to it, where it'll still like kind of look like this, but it'll be less armor. And the thing is, I think that would like kind of work for Wonder Woman, because what I love about Wonder Woman is like she is like such an exceptional fighter that she doesn't like need like a lot of like padding and a lot of other because she's just so good at like what she does. Like she needs her legs freed up so that she can like kick some ass, or like she needs to have her arms free to like punch and show off those muscles. So I feel like just having I wouldn't mind the skirt or the swimsuit outfit. I think both could work, but I feel like Gunn would probably go for more bright colors and then probably go for like a campier look to it. And then similar with like Batman, I think they'll go for like the blue and gray, because that's a suit that people have wanted to see for a long, long time. We kind of got that with Ben Affleck in like The Flash, but it was like really dark navy blue and it just didn't look right. So
Mhm.
I feel like I feel like that's the vibe we're going for. And yeah, that's at the end of the day. Like as long as it looks pretty good, as long as it's a good movie, whatever Wonder Woman movie we're getting, or the Paradise Lost show, whatever, as long as it's written well, as long as it's good characterization, core concepts, then it should be all is forgiven. Like, even though I don't love everything about the Gunn Superman suit. Like, I don't like the collar and I don't like the lines on it. It's overall still a very good suit. So as long as it's, yeah, but the thing is, at the end of the day, as long as it's a great movie, as long as it's, written well, then you know what, hell with it. She could come out like wearing like the suit she wore in the fucking 90s, where it was like a bra with a leather jacket and pants. Like, it was ridiculous.
I mean, it's
So
also like in Wonder Woman 1984, Linda Carter shows up at the end, like, spoiler alert if you haven't seen that movie, and
you're
she's
not missing much.
playing this she's playing this other like character from the Wonder Woman stories that's
Yeah.
not Wonder Woman, but like it's a different character, and she's got like a suit or something to it. They were almost hinting at if they did do a Wonder Woman 3, Linda Carter would be a part of the story somehow, which I appreciated, the look and just the idea of bringing her back. But yeah, I mean, and also Manolo is like, hey, it's kind of like the trunk or no trunks. If the story is good, a lot is forgiven. But then, I think Manolo, you also had another comment. Let me see if I can put this up, because this is a fantastic question to have. And Hunter too, Hunter suggested, John, that maybe a Justice League Unlimited suit, which I think you were referring to, right? The
Yeah, that's what
DC
I was referring
animated
to. Yeah.
universe, right? But Manolo, you had a question about why not a couple of different suits. I mean, and
Yeah.
while there's been many iterations of Batman and Superman suit over the years, maybe it's time that the next design is not so similar to the one that we got already with the Gal Gadot iteration. Maybe it doesn't need to be the Linda Carter iteration either. Or maybe we get a situation where the character wears multiple different suits over the course of the film. Like, would you think there could be story motivation behind why that is? Do you see that as being a possible solution to the maybe we don't have just one suit, maybe we have a couple of different suits?
I feel like having multiple suits could be good. Like, I feel like maybe later on we can get like a Superman suit that doesn't have the fucking collar, and like
I think I think that one's pretty crucial. Anyway, I mean,
and then like,
I'd like to see that be
is your
captured.
neck a little chilly? Like, you need a collar on your cowl.
It's
Like,
not the same thing though. It's not Superman doesn't have it's not a stand-up collar.
No,
It's
I
like,
know. I just love that video.
yeah,
But
yeah,
and the cape, I like the cape tucked into like the neck hole.
right, right.
I just think
I
that
get
looks
that.
better.
I do.
But yeah, it's still overall still good suit. But yeah, we can get like an evolved kind of look, so we can get like a bunch of them. So that's cool
Mhm.
too. Like, I wouldn't mind that either. Like, get a bunch of them. I mean,
Yeah,
Batman
yeah,
has like 10 million suits, so it's fine.
yeah. And Batman v Superman alone, he wore at least two different suits, right? So it's definitely, I think it gotta make sense to this within the story, but
Yeah.
this design of the suit is gonna line up with the world and the story they're trying to tell. With Superman, the new suit definitely lines up with what kind of character this is. The logo, I'm sure we'll figure out like why the logo is the way it is, but it's a very clean looking design. I do have an appreciation for it. The suit itself, even with the trunks on top, I think it's something that it's got a more classic feel to it, but I'm sure when we watch the movie, there's going to be a story reason as to why the suit is the way it is, similar to how in Man of Steel the suit was the way it was. It was like this, this regal royalty, like the coat of arms of the family, of the House of L. So I'm sure there's going to be something similar, like with Wonder Woman. The suit connects to the culture and their and Themyscira and why she wears what she wears. There's a purpose to that, and the tradition, the heritage behind the suit, and whatever that ends up being. Because I think back in the 80s, the approach to things was very different, especially for a TV show. They didn't really put as much thought into like the why of it. I think these days, especially when you're building a cinematic universe, the why matters so much more. So I definitely see that being a part of the conversation. So John, I mean, I think that covers largely everything that we needed to talk about today. John, do you have any other DC news that you wanted to bring up, or do you think we are pretty much squared away? We went through a lot today. We talked about. Oh, you know what? I will put this on real quick.
Yeah.
Thank you for dropping your comments, or Hanaman. We do appreciate it. We simply don't share your opinion, though. I think Superman is going to be a wonderful movie. So
I wanted to share this actually because I found more
You
from
did,
that
yeah.
day, and look, Guy Gardner is in the background. There he is.
He's in Paris. Nathan Fillion's hanging out with Kumail Nanjiani.
And then there was another one you can kind of see in the background. I think that's Jack Quaid. I think Jack
Quaid's
is
neck?
there.
Well, that certainly adds up. That looked
and then in the original image, the original image, if we apparently the guy in front of them, like zoom in on the guy that's in front of Safran right now. I believe the person who originally posted this said that was Rachel Brosnahan's husband. So I'm like, yeah, that guy, where your
Oh,
mouse
you mean like
is.
who's looking off to his left down there with like the red
Yeah, that's what
lanyard on his
because I looked up, I reverse image searched, and I was curious, like, who uploaded this. I was wanting to know who. I couldn't. The only two I could find was like some Twitter thing. It was like it was like a fan or something, and then it was on Reddit. So I don't know who found this, who uploaded it. So so I was looking, and that's what they claimed. It's probably bullshit, but apparently, that might be Jack Quaid in the background. Nathan Fillion was there, and and possibly Rachel Brosnahan's husband in front of them. So it was a whole DC reunion, if that's the case.
or a brand new union to be had if Kumail Nanjiani is indeed joining the DC family. That would be fantastic to see. Um, I mean, this is great. It looks like you got a lot of the folks that are part of the picture now. Maybe James Gunn is hiding somewhere that we just don't know, or maybe he's too busy. My money is
probably
that he's too busy doing work between Peacemaker, film directing episodes of the second season, and doing post production on Superman, which is now done filming. But Hunter Iggy also just asked, "What if Jack Quaid is Flash?" I don't know whether it's the Barry Allen version or the Wally
West,
version.
Please. Wally West needs more love. Barry Allen, he can go.
It would be kind of meta too,
die
because
for another
of course
23 years again.
I mean, it would be a little meta because he's in The Boys, where they clearly are making fun of superheroes, right? Or like critiquing and
yeah.
and
I
then
mean,
he
he's
ends
also
up being
Superman.
the
He
Flash.
plays Superman in My Adventures with Superman.
Yeah,
So
that's true. He
also
does voice the character. Yeah, so that'd be fun. I think Hunter, that would be a good pick. And he's already auditioned for some roles in the superhero genre. So I mean, this would be a nice get for him.
I think
and
he would
his
be.
star is rising.
Who would he? Can't talk. You know who he would be very good at? I think he would be a good Spider-Man. I think he would be a really good Peter Parker Spider-Man.
He would
which
be,
I know
but
is
they're not
too late
looking
now.
to cast one right now.
Yeah, I know. I'm just saying in general,
Mhm.
I think he would be, but I think he would be better as Wally West, because
Yeah.
I feel like, I don't know if he could nail the sort of like smart, like scientific nature of Barry Allen, but like sort of like the more like into it, like kind of spiritual sense of the Speed Force. I think Jack Quaid could do that, and Wally West is a little more jokey, and I think Jack Quaid could do that very well. So I think he could pull it off. I think, I mean, if like they made a Justice League movie in the 80s and they recast everybody, I think Dennis Quaid could have been a good Superman too. So it just kind of makes sense that
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 would have been a good pick. Yes.
Yeah, I actually did.
I
did a fucking
for it, so
Justice League casting way back when.
I saw that on your
ridiculous.
channel. That was great. The Geek Informant, right, guys?
Yeah.
Go check out the Geek Informant. John's got some great content on there about.
But yeah, I planned. But one of the first fan castings I ever did was an '80s Justice League movie, and I had like Dennis Quaid as Superman. I think Karen Allen was Wonder Woman. I think I had like Roddy Piper as Aquaman. It was ridiculous, but it was like Tom Cruise was Green Lantern. I came here
to kick ass and chew bubble gum, and I'm all out of bubble gum while he's
exactly. Like, who wouldn't want to see that as Aquaman? That would have been perfect.
I would have, yeah, and he had a kilt on. He's Scottish or Irish. I don't know. Like I think it was.
I don't
Scottish.
think he's actually Scottish, but it works. It's still, Yeah.
Oh my god. Yeah, I think that would be fantastic. Potentially as a pick. Yeah. Great call out there again. By the way, Hunter, I think Jack Quaid could be a great Flash. Which version of the Flash we will see, but I think it would be a great Flash. And again, we were talking about Kumail Nanjiani potentially confirmed to Booster Gold. It's possible they were at this event together. They're at the Olympics. It seems like a lot of the people currently involved in the new DCU, and maybe Kumail, this is an indication that he is part of the picture. And of course, before that, we reviewed episode 5 out of 10 of Kite Man. So if you're not watching Kite Man, hell yeah, go check it out. It's on Max. It's only halfway through its run. It may get a renewal. We haven't really heard yet whether it's going to be renewed or not. But as a show, it's very popular. And certainly if you're a fan of Harley Quinn on Max, then and they've got a new season for that coming out later this year. So in the meantime, you can go watch Kite Man. Hell yeah, 5 episodes in, Bane is as good as ever. You got Kite Man, Golden Glider, so many great characters. You've got Darkseid showing up every once in a while, Malice, Darkseid's daughter, and I'm sure the next 5 episodes will be fantastic. And right as Kite Man finishes, its run, we're going to have the Penguin starting up. So if you sign up for Max, the subscriptions are certainly going to be a good value, and that's where a lot of these new DCU shows are going to be. That's where Creature Commandos is going to be airing. So yeah, and Manolo is asking for the link to the channel. John, where can they find you?
Just
on
look up
YouTube.
Geek Informant. It's not hard. Just type. I know
Just
the
search for
YouTube
the
search
Geek
engine
Informant.
is suckish, but like just type it in and you should be.
Just type in the Geek Informant and you will find John's channel on there.
Clickety clack and you're enter and you're good to go. So
And when John's not here, he's on the Geek Informant and he's informing you all about all of the different Marvel and DC, mostly DC stuff. I think, John, you're mostly a DC person, but a big comic book fan, and John's done some fantastic work there. And of course, we're gonna try to get back into those Fancast Fridays in the weeks to come, because we went through so many of those. I think now we have a bunch of new things that we can dive into. So yeah, the Geek Informant, John, you don't have a custom URL. It seems like you got to type in a random code, if you will. But we will drop the link in the description below. So if you're watching this video live, then wait till the show's over, and then John's channel link would be in the description below. And of course, if you're watching us after the fact, then you already have the link down there. So check that out. And of course, as always, thanks for stopping by DCU Daily. We are here each and every day, Monday through Friday, talking about the best from the world of DC, whether it's the DCU itself, the Elseworlds, anything, whether it's the Penguin, Joker Follow You Do, Kite Man, hell yeah, Kumail Nanjiani potentially being Booster Gold in the new DCU, Wonder Woman's suit in the new DCU, what would that look like? We were talking about Superman, comparing it to Fantastic Four, both movies coming out only 2 weeks apart next year. And if you happen to be wondering whether it's Constantine or Constantine, I think John made it pretty clear, as per the creator of the character originally, it is indeed Constantine, you fucks. So please say it correctly. Now, with that said, it's a Friday
Alan Moore
night.
will kill you. Like, he'll actually murder you.
Yes, he will actually murder you. Please, call it. Say it the way it's meant to be said, Constantine. And with that said, it's an exciting time for the world of DC. We've got so many things out there. Kite Man, hell yeah. Penguin coming up. Joker Follow You Do. Creature Commandos kicking off the new DCU. And of course, if none of that satisfies you, there's more to come next year with Superman hitting theaters. And we'll be covering that each and every day here as new news breaks. Any new project, Lanterns is starting to pick up. Peacemaker is shooting its second season. James Gunn is busy with that, directing some episodes and post-production on the Superman movie. So as new news comes out, as news breaks, as we get more images of people hanging out together, Peter Safran and Kumail Nanjiani, who knows what that means, but we will come back on Monday and we will talk about it, and we will keep an eye out for you guys. So thanks again for stopping by. Hit the like button, hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, so that way you can stay up to date with the latest episodes of the show. Hit the notification bell so you know when we go live. And of course, drop your comments down below if you haven't already. And if you've been hanging out in the chat with us, Manolo, Fiona, Hunter, Iggy, thanks so much for giving your thoughts. And we love to chat with you guys. And we'll be back here on Monday with another episode of DCU Daily. Until then, have a fantastic weekend. And if you haven't already, like John is saying, hit that like button and then go watch Kite Man, hell yeah. And we'll see you next time.
Don't watch Batman Cape Crusader, though. Please don't. Don't
okay.
Do it. Stick to Kite
All
Man.
right. There you go. We'll see you next time. Have a good weekend, guys. We'll be back with DC Daily on Monday, and then we'll have also Curious, the show, reviewing, I think, Borderlands, and It Ends With Us, the new Blake Lively movie. We got all that coming up next week for you. Until then, have a good weekend. We'll see you next time.